Welcome to a behind-the-scenes look at the rebuild of the Thompson Elementary School in Arlington, Massachusetts. We wanted to capture the planning, the process, and the feelings that go into the rebuild of a school. Arlington committed to rebuild or refurbish all 7 of its elementary schools in an effort to bring them up to 20th century standards. The Thompson was the 6th school to go through the process, and although the entire project took 4 years, the rebuild took 2 years to complete. The town partnered with the state for funding assistance, and that assistance dictated a defined process and set of standards. Additionally, the entire project was overseen by the Massachusetts Building Authority, or the MSBA. Previous to the Thompson, Arlington had rebuilt or refurbished 5 elementary schools. However, changes at the state level made the Thompson the first school in Arlington to be rebuilt under the new regulations. We are going to take you through the rebuild, not only by what we can show you with the camera, but with interviews from parents, students, teachers, administrators, and others involved in the process to try to give you insight into what rebuilding an elementary school is all about.
I mean, the easy part of it is just, it has always been, there's just been such a need for this. And that everybody is on the same page about that. And there's been a lot of energy and momentum from the committee and from the community just kind of pushing for this to happen.
It's going to be great, and it's really promising for the neighborhood in terms of property values. It's really promising for the young people, because that's why we do this. This is not something to make adults happy, even though it is making me happy. This is something to make sure that our young people get a great education in a great setting.
My interest is in delivering the community a high-quality school that will last for the next 50 to 75 years. Let's give them a building that fits the quality of the people who are in it.
I think it was the structural needs were there, the gym, the cafeteria, the space needs. You know, in the 21st century, there are certain standards that we want all of our schools to have and to be equipped with in terms of technology and space needs for our young people. And we've made a commitment to rebuild all 7 elementary schools, and we rebuilt or renovated in some way 5 of them. And the Thompson School was way outdated compared to the other schools. So this was something that was absolutely essential. And so I made it a firm commitment as the state representative who attended the Thompson School that this certainly was going to be one of my top priorities.
I probably the most powerful memories about kids learning, watching kids learn, seeing that over a period of years, getting to know their families over a period of years, so that the history of it, understanding and respecting people's complicated histories, it's all about the people, not about the building.
Well, I've been on the Arlington School Committee since 2003, and we began talking about rebuilding the Thompson School way back when. And in 2008 or 2009, I guess, I was appointed to the Thompson School Building Committee and have been involved in the committee for the past 2 or 3 years.
And when it became clear that things were actually going to happen, I was sort of asked to be part of the Thompson School Building Committee because I have a background in school buildings. I'm an educator, former principal, and had managed building renovation before. The committee formed in June of 2009, a long time ago. Wow. So I've been involved with meetings every other week pretty much since then.
We were rebuilding in 2003, I think it was the Pierce, and we had finished the Brackett, the Bishop, had done the work that we did at the Addison Middle School, and finished the Hardy, and so we were doing the Pierce, and parents in the Thompson district were saying, hey, what about us? And at that time, the Dallin was also falling down. So the plan was to do Dallin and then go right to the Thompson. And then the rules changed. We went from a system in which the SBAB, the School Building Assistance Bureau, went out of business, and for a couple of years there was a moratorium on building. And then a new system was set in place called the Massachusetts School Building Authority, MSBA. And we had to follow new rules in order to build the Thompson.
When I was elected in 2008, my #1 priority was to work with the Massachusetts School Building Authority to make sure we could get the money from the state to rebuild the Thompson School.
In the 1990s and in 2000, two debt exclusion votes were passed to rebuild all 7 elementary schools. And so basically money was set aside in the town to rebuild all of the elementary schools. roughly 52% of the cost of that building are covered by the state of Massachusetts. And the remaining $9+ million, 9.5, 10 million, are covered by the taxpayers of Arlington by remaining funds that are in the debt exclusion account from the previous debt exclusion votes in the late 1990s and in 2000. It's important to thank everyone in the town for supporting this. In May of 2011, we received a unanimous vote from the town meeting allocating $20 million to this project, the most money spent on any of the elementary schools to date.
This is something that has been set aside over the past 10 years to dedicate it to Thompson. This was something that each town meeting, in terms of the budget cycle, that we have felt is absolutely critical, and I know this is something that the Finance Committee has certainly taken into account in terms of making sure the money was available when the state had committed their portion to rebuild the Thompson.
We had on the table 3 options: renovation and add, rebuild on the current site, rebuild on the playground area to the north. We had 3 different options. At the end of the day, what we came out with was the need to build a brand new school, to knock down the school, keep it on its current site, and build a brand new school.
One of the surprising things is how quickly the demolition happened. It only took about 1 week for the actual demolition and an additional 2 weeks to clean up the rubble. Demolition started with the removal of the windows.
So now the school is being demolished. It's pretty much as we speak. If you drive by, the windows are out, and I think any day the wrecking balls are going to come.
Next, the rest of the building came down.
I'm glad I had a chance to come down alone and look at it over the weekend when the skeleton was still here.
And then, the contractor had to separate, sort, and recycle all the materials by type.
It's still being separated because about 90% of the building, I believe, is recycled material, maybe even more than that.
Finally, after the recycling portion is completed, the site was leveled and sealed for the winter.
Demolition will be done and the site will be flat and filled in by the end of January, I believe. And then it'll be fenced off and made safe until construction's ready to start.
And then the normal work of a construction project takes place. You know, foundation is dug, we start to put in the concrete, we start to put up walls and all that sort of good stuff. So in the spring, I think you're going to start to see some action, and I think there's going to be a lot of work done between the late spring of 2012 and winter of 2012. By that point, the goal is that all of the outside work will be done, and then you're going to get inside the building, and then there'll be a lot of inside work done between say, the winter of 2012 till the spring of 2013, and then a goal of moving into that building by the summer of 2013.
And the entire community is really depending on that.
Yeah.
It's the relocation is challenging for everybody, and everybody is really hopeful that it will only be 2 years.
I think that was the joy of working here, was so many people giving so much to the kids that were here, to the families that were here. It was one of the things that we hoped that the kids would learn from being here, is that commitment to community, and broadly define that community to wherever they are. So I would encourage them to give back and keep reading. Hope for the future is the most important part.
You can't forget with this whole rebuild thing, it's just as much or more about the people than it is about the building they're in. It's just a really strong, tightly knit community, really eager and waiting for a long time to have this transformation for the Thompson School.
The Thompson School served as my foundation for a strong academic educational experience, enriching experience in the Arlington Public Schools, and I don't know where I would be today if I didn't attend the Thompson Elementary School. This has been an effort from parents, school community members, community folks over the past decade. And so I remember working with some parents pushing me, said, please advocate for the Thompson School, and I would say, no problem, you don't have to convince me. But they didn't have kids in the Thompson School. And so I think that says a lot about our community.
The members of town meeting, the elected members of town meeting, are to be congratulated for taking a real courageous vote, for voting to support this project. And it's our job as elected officials, our job as the Thompson School Building Committee, to see this project through, to make sure that it's built correctly, and to make sure that it serves all of the children that it's going to serve.
One of the biggest challenges in a rebuild is not in the building, but finding a home for the students and teachers. No school could take all the students, so relocation was divided between the Hardy, the Stratton, and the Bishop elementary schools. To get a sense of what it felt like relocating and adapting to a new school, I interviewed several students, parents, and teachers.
Well, there was a lot of anxiety about the move and having Thompson go into the different schools. A certain anxiety on the part of Thompson parents in terms of how they would be received. But I think that what they've discovered, and what we've all discovered, is just really how gracious and inviting the parents have been in all of the schools.
Well, one of the things that we did when our students were getting ready to move to 3 different schools was to contact parents at those schools in advance. So I was on the Thompson PTO. We reached out to Hardy, Bishop, and Stratton PTOs. We also talked to folks who had been on the Dallin PTO about what their experience had been like. So it gave us a little sense of what the ups and downs had been in the Dallin rebuild. And then reaching out to their PTOs and just sharing information about what we do and what events could be shared and how to do that was it was just great to have done that in advance and thought about it a little bit.
Do you remember back to the first day of going to school at Bishop? Yeah. Can you tell me kind of what that felt like or how that went?
I thought, I'm going to get lost here. Bishop is much bigger than Thompson. It was kind of awkward going to a new school, get used to people, getting used to the people, getting used to the teachers and things around me. I really thought it was really confusing because I got really lost. And it was kind of weird because I knew a couple Bishop kids from soccer and other Hebrew school and stuff.
Okay.
So we would kind of say hi to them, but mostly Bishop kids were overextending one and Thompson was standing in another place.
I remember that I looked at these all these people from Bishop, and they were all looking at the Thompson people why are they here? I don't want them to be here. Why are they here? They're weird.
I remember being really nervous, and I remember the night before, I didn't have all my supplies, so I was running around, worrying if I had everything that I needed.
Right.
So I was really nervous.
So is your class made up of kids who go to Stratton regularly as well as some kids from Thompson?
No, just Thompson.
Just Thompson, but you have a Stratton teacher. Oh, that's interesting.
The PTOs have been wonderful, kind of integrating the kids right away. I guess there was debate over whether the classes should be mixed or not, and some decided yes, some decided no. In the end, everyone said yes, of course, and I think that's worked out better.
In the beginning, yes, Thompson and Hardy kids, they stuck to who they knew. Right. But now I love it. Now I have, a lot of my Thompson kids, when you ask who their friends are in class, they're mentioning Hardy kids, and it's the same thing with the Hardy kids. They're starting to mention some of the Thompson kids as being their friends, the people they most want to hang out with in the class. So I feel like they're coming together as, a small community in the classroom.
While it's been very tight in these 3 schools, they've had to give up art rooms or music rooms in order for this to work, it's made the project possible. Right. Had we had to spend money on alternative rent at another school or put up portables, this project could not have happened. We had a very set budget for it and have done well.
The Thompson was such a special place, it's hard to identify exactly what. I think the teachers on the whole, it was such a strong community of teachers who were very welcoming to parents and parents being involved in the school. So that was very, very special. And then the parents and the other kids sort of existing as a community.
I taught in a couple of other schools in Arlington, but I just fell in love with Thompson.
Oh, that's great.
It was the population of kids that I really wanted to teach. They're so multicultural there. They embrace that about their kids, and they really there's a sense of community there that I love. So as we continued teaching Spanish, and we were moving up the grades, and initially I was in 3 different schools, I believe, and we had to start kind of focusing in each of us into one school. Yep. I made sure that Thompson was the one where I spent the majority of my time. So eventually I was primarily here in Thompson, and a few times in another school, and then and then the 3rd grade position opened up, and I decided to stick with it as long as I wanted to be in Thompson.
Right.
Probably 4 months ago, I started having just Thompson faculty meetings, and many teachers have said to me, I just love it when we're together. We haven't been together talking about education and children for so long, and I missed it so much. So it's not just the building, it's the community of teachers, and it will be the community of families as well. Right. Getting back into one space and being one.
The Thompson community is like an extended family. When I had him, the teachers put together this food list, and I got food every twice a week. I got 2 meals, and I even a parent who I never had their child stopped at my house and brought me a chicken pot pie, which was just it was just I don't know. Thompson is like my home away from home. So the community is what I absolutely love about it.
I miss all those people. I miss that community. I miss that sense of, of waiting outside the Daisy doors and just seeing everyone that you knew.
I think the community, just having the community all come back together. It was like when I saw Thompson half torn down. I cried. I wasn't expecting to, but it's a place that was just filled with so many great memories. I mean, it's just so special just to have everybody come back together, and just to see all the teachers who I love to work with, and to see the families. Also, I mean, it wouldn't be until the end of that first year, but the Thompson family barbecue, where everybody in the community comes over, and we have a barbecue at Thompson. That will be really nice, because it'll be former students who may not have been able to experience the new school, but it's part of their community. So I think just getting the whole community of teachers and families back together would be really nice. And also, I mean, I don't know how many teachers get to work in a brand new school. I mean, that's a special privilege.
I didn't see the kindergarten teachers except maybe once every 2 weeks.
Right.
But we would have get-togethers. You would hear about good news from somebody or whatever, that someone got engaged or they were pregnant. You'd hear about it through the grapevine, and I just miss that. Yeah, I want to be back with that staff again, and I really want to be back with the families and the kids, and working towards that bigger goal that we all have.
So the open feeling, just kind of walking in and saying hi to the principal, and Vicki, the secretary, is very warm and welcoming. And I think that's still the case at the other schools. You just don't know all the faces, and getting to know the different people, doesn't seem as the same.
I would drive by Hardy at pickup and see everybody hanging around and talking, and I wasn't ready to leave that. I wasn't ready to lose all those people, all of that community that we had at Thompson, was gone. It's gone now.
Right.
I mean, there are people that I used to see every day that I haven't talked to in a year and a half.
It was a different school environment, and I think that socially it was great, and she really, I can't say enough about how welcoming the Bishop community was. It was fantastic, and she made a lot of friends and felt very involved. I think the decision to mix up the grades was brilliant, mix up the classes was brilliant. I think it's made this year easier for her. I think academically it's just a school with a different ethos.
So what was it like to move to a new school? How did that feel? What were some of the things you felt about having to move?
I felt like it was so annoying, because there were all these 5th graders that were going, we're going to middle school next year, and you're going to have to go to different schools. And they were just bragging about it, and they were so glad that they could go to 5th grade at that school, and if we had just been like there 1 year more, it would have been fine.
It was different because when I went to Thompson School, I was nervous-er, starting my first day in like a big school. Going to Hardy, I'm just kind of weird. Going to a new school, but I wasn't really that nervous.
There's they have really big hallways and they only have 3 floors.
I was surprised at how easy it was. I was surprised at how wonderful Mark McInerney was with the kids and how welcoming all of the Bishop kids were and how great it was for them to be there, how easily they just adapted and fit right in, and it was okay. I was surprised at how okay it was.
A lot of the stuff I fancier because it was rebuilt.
Right.
And like in the gym, for instance, they have bleachers.
Mm-hmm.
Hardy looks a lot more new.
Yeah.
And it's bigger. They have 3 floors.
Yeah.
And a lot more bathrooms, which has surprised me. And a lot of the things are bigger, except for the lunchroom, which is a little small. And I was surprised how they could fit all those kids, because there's like twice as many kids this year, so I was surprised that they could fit everybody.
Bishop kind of makes me feel cramped, but Thompson felt like it had more space. And it also felt more familiar.
Oh, the cafeteria at Bishop is way smaller than the cafeteria at Thompson.
Okay.
It's more technical, like there's bigger computer labs and like ways to check out a book in the computer, and we never had that at Thompson.
They're not really alike because Thompson's way smaller and Haddon's bigger and it has a lot of people.
Hardy's has a lot more land than Thompson. Most of our land is just all town land. They have more floors. Hardy has more floors.
It's not a lot of stuff I would want to change. I guess I'd want it to be like have more like heat and air conditioning, because it would get really cold in the winter and really hot.
I think it will be a little bigger. I think I'm not sure if they're redoing the playground or not, but I hope they redo the playground.
I really love Thompson. I think that the windows on the side of the gym and the cafeteria should really be different because you can't really see out of them.
Right.
And then the classrooms should be bigger because they're kind of small.
More electronics.
More electronics.
I've heard they're going to have, each student is going to have an iPad.
Really?
Yeah, to do homework on.
That was cool.
Yeah.
Huh?
A bigger library, maybe, because
Yeah.
it was kind of small.
When we went there, when we were when school ended, there was desks and you could take them if you needed them to put in your room, and we both got our own.
Oh, that's nice. So
got
from the old
chairs.
school, you got to keep a piece of it.
Yeah, because they're taking stuff out
Yep.
and buying new ones. for
Right,
the-
right, right.
But they're keeping like a couple special things, like the music teacher's piano.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's good to
At
know.
the Stratton School right now.
Well, one thing was when I got to the Bishop, realizing how many parents already knew there was a surprise, and how easy it was to work with them as a community. But finding so many familiar faces that I knew from hockey or soccer or preschool was really wonderful and unexpected in a way. So that was one great surprise. And then for me, the biggest surprise with respect to my daughter was, again, how seamlessly she integrated into the Bishop community.
So now that you've been there a couple months, how does it feel to be at the Bishop?
Normal.
Yeah?
It actually kind of feels normal.
So how does it feel now? Now that it's not the first day. So how did it feel today going to school? Better?
Yeah, I have a few Hardy kids that I'm friends with.
I actually think it ended up being a bigger adjustment for the parents than it was for the kids. I think they took really good care of the kids in terms of prepping them and getting them ready. And I think that in a lot of ways the kids were really excited about it, even though they might have seemed nervous. Yep. The parents were very nervous about the bus, and the kids loved the bus.
Did you see the demolition at all? Did you see any of the
Yeah,
pictures?
my bus passes it every day.
Oh yeah? So is it all down now?
Pretty much.
Pretty much? Yeah.
I saw it on the first day. I drove by with my babysitter, and we drive by it every day on the way to school, so you see the process.
Have you seen the plans for the new school?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? What do you think is some of the exciting new things that you've seen on there?
Well, I think it's a lot bigger.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And I was kind of wondering what outdoor classrooms meant.
There's going to be 3 playgrounds, one for the kindergarten, first, second and third, and fourth and fifth. There's going to be, I think, a couple outdoor classrooms.
Adjusting to a new school was different. I mean, they were very used to the Thompson School. They were used to Vicky. They were used to the way the building was laid out. It was hard to get around. It was all new people. Bishop kids are different from Thompson kids because they have a lot of technology and a lot of things that Thompson kids largely didn't have. And so there was a lot of that coming home at first. You know, this one has an iPad, this one has an iPhone 4S, this one has that, this one has this. And that was hard. That was hard to sort of like, you know, you'll get those things in time, but maybe not right now.
Well, I think the key to where we are right now is that we made that decision to move the students out of Thompson at the beginning of the year, because what that allowed us to do was, when we finished the schematic drawings, to be able to begin construction. And that extra couple months is the difference. Just that little bit of an edge also gave us very good pricing on the project. Had we been 6 months later, which is the case in a couple of other communities, they've had to go back and up their contribution to the project, as much as a couple $1 million.
We learned a lot of great stuff from the schools that we were in, ways that they did things that we hadn't actually thought of and really liked, and we'll be adopting, you know, when we go back on our own.
Now, a year into the rebuild, I'm back to ask those same parents, teachers, and students how it's going. How was it starting at this new school compared to last year starting at Bishop?
I liked it better because at this new school, at Addison, it's just like everybody, like, you know, people from extracurriculars like soccer and stuff, but then everybody's like new and you just completely mixed up, so you kind of like forced to make new friends. And when we started at Bishop, it was just like Thompson sat over here and Bishop sat over here.
I enjoyed being at Bishop and making new friends, and I also enjoyed the 5th grade experience, like going to all like George's Island, science camp. But I still wish I was at Thompson so I could, again, have one of the teachers.
I learned last year that it's okay to be scared because it's just going to be fine.
Do you miss Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you miss?
The fact that each teacher, like, you only have one teacher and you don't have to move around 8 different times every day. And, like, you only have a certain time. Like, at Thompson, you could, like, spend, like, 2 hours on math and, like, only 1 hour on English. But in this case, you have to spend every single, like, hour on one subject and then the next subject. And it's just hard to switch your brain from each subject to each subject.
No, it just felt like I was one of the other kids.
I missed my last Thompson teacher, my 4th grade teacher, and I miss the whole environment of Thompson and Ms. Donovan and like our specials teacher and that kind of stuff. But I definitely like Addison more than I liked Bishop.
I miss like my 3rd and 4th grade teacher. She was awesome.
Yeah.
And like all my my friends, like, cause like now that we're like more like know more people, we kind of like split up, I guess. Mm-hmm. So like I guess I miss like having just like a smaller group of people.
I wish I was at Thompson because I wish I could have had one of the Thompson teachers. I enjoyed a lot of the new friends I made, and I kind of like going in to 6th grade knowing more people, even like boys who weren't in my class who I'd never really talked to. They're familiar faces if like one of them sits next to me in class, and it's just like I already know him.
There's like a very big thing that you're working towards, a very long-term, big, huge thing that you're all working towards together. And being housed here for 2 years and working with Hardy kids and everything and being a part of the Hardy community, but you still have that feeling of, but it's only for 2 years.
Right.
So that's what I mean, that it's sort of there's almost a holding back. That happens, especially in terms of feeling.
There was one class, our 4th grade classes had now had to be, was in Thompson at 3rd grade, was at Hardy at 4th, Bishop at 5th, and the next year they'll be at Addison. So they're going to miss the opportunity to be in the new school. And there was a lot of anxiety about all those transitions, but they've done very well. Yep. And I think once they're in the experience, you realize that it can work, and it's more the anticipation of it that brings the anxiety.
All of that letting go that would have had to happen in 5th grade to go to Addison was already done. They learned to take the bus. They learned to find their way around a new school. They learned to navigate that school in a way that they might not have if they hadn't been at a new school.
There's no question that having been at the Bishop, she went to the Addison, she knew twice as many kids. In fact, the kids who were in her cluster, who she talked about, were Bishop kids. So I think it just really gave her, she walked into that school and she knew, really, between the Thompson, the Bishop, soccer, Arlington Children's Theater, she knew more than a third of the kids in her grade, and there's no question that that's an advantage, and there's no question that having made new friends just a year ago is an advantage, and I feel like her entrance to the Addison has been seamless.
It was so strange for me to not be walking the kids to school, or even when I drove them to school, I would see a whole cohort of parents there. It felt like we started the Addison a year earlier in a way, because we put them on the bus, they went off, left the house, never saw them again until they came back on the bus.
I think for me, if there was a surprise at all, it was going from the drawings to actually experiencing the building. When I went in for the first time, I was just struck by how spacious it was, and you don't get that sense from the drawings.
The first year it was the hardest to kind of see nothing really happen, just an empty lot over the whole winter. So now it sort of looks like it's really happening, and we're getting progress, and the building committee is picking out the interior paint colors, so it's seeming much more real.
Right.
It's huge. I don't get by that often, but they had a picnic like 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
And I went there and it was huge. There's no walls up, but it's coming along. Like the ceilings are up.
Yeah.
I had seen plans for the school and had a sense of what it was going to look like. And I felt like I could be patient for 2 years, but I don't feel like I'm patient any longer. I am so eager now that the framing is up to see what it's like and to see it finished and to see it from the inside. It's like a tease to have the building up there and not yet be done.
It's huge. And it was like there was nothing there, and then I went like a week later and it was all there, and it's like there's a frame of things and it's just huge.
I was on the school council and I saw the plans over and over, and it's so much bigger than I thought. I really, I had a very clear vision of the shape of the building, but in my image of it, it was set back further. It didn't take up the whole plot. It sort of took up maybe half the plot, and then there was all this room. So when it went up, I was just like, oh my God, that's huge. But it's very exciting.
It's huge. It was like the frame was up and it was all decorated with lights, but I didn't expect it to get up that fast.
It kind of has the yellow part of the walls in, and
when it didn't really have the part of the walls, we thought it looked kind of like a cruise ship.
And it's going to be beautiful. It's very different than all the other schools we've had in town. But I think that's fine. I think, in fact, that's great.
It's easier than it appears. It seemed like it was going to be a huge transition. It was such a smooth transition. Our welcome at the Bishop was wonderful, was seamless. So it's not as daunting as it seems.
Make lots of friends because they'll show you where to go.
Just talk to new people, even if there's people in your class or whatever that you kind of know. At Thompson, I would have, even if I just I knew them, but I was just kind of friends with them, I would immediately go sit with them. And here, there were a couple people like that, but I saw a girl who didn't seem to know anyone else, so I just went and sat with her, and I made pretty fast friends with a bunch of people. Well, kind of like what I said, just don't, you can be kind of shy, you don't want to be crazy out there, but don't be afraid to just talk to people, I guess. Don't try and just sit alone and talk if they talk to you. You can talk to them too. Even if you're the only one starting in a new school, it's not like it's your whole grade. They're probably a little nervous of you and are like, oh, who's this new person? Is she gonna be nice and stuff, the same way you're feeling.
I think kids are incredibly resilient, and I think kids pick up on their parents' anxiety. So I think it's incredible. I mean, I just was like, this is great, you're going to the Bishop. And even the things that were hard for her at the Bishop, I acknowledged her feelings. I said, I know, but this is the way it is, and let's figure out how to deal with it rather than let's wish we were back at the Thompson.
Be friendly. Don't ignore people, and don't stay within your own group. Just be friendly to other people. Everything will be okay. When everybody started at Bishop, everyone was freaking out because we're going to a new school and we aren't going to go back to Thompson. It's going to be all horrible. And on the last day of school, all my friends were talking about how this is the last time we're ever going to see it. And you drive home on the bus and the school would be half torn down and everyone would be like, oh, that's cool. And half of the other kids would be like, oh, that's sad. I'm never going to see the place again. So it's just, everything will be okay because you'll move on eventually.
Make sure that you're there for your kids. Make sure that they know that you're there and that you empower them as much as you can to hang on to their old friends, but also to try to make some new friends and help them to see the positive sides of it, because there's positive sides of everything. And as long as they can try to see that, they'll be better off.
I'd probably tell her to stay calm, and she probably will meet some new friends because probably at least half of that school will be going, so she'll probably have her friend going with her, and she doesn't have to play with other people if she doesn't want to. Try to make new friends.
You don't have to just start talking to them and asking them about yourself, but just ask them, without hesitating, just ask them to sit with you at lunch or to sit next to you rather than them just kind of sitting next to you and you becoming friends. It's a lot easier for the new kids if you're it's good for the new kids to start talking to the old kids, but it makes them feel a little better if you're kind of implementing the friendship.
Be welcoming. If say someone is say it's a family, if someone's marrying your sister or brother, be welcoming to them.
Honestly, try to parse out how much of the emotional piece is yours and how much is your kids, because you get this whole thing going inside of you, and it's all about but you're doing this to my kid, but you're doing this to my kid, but the kids are fine. The kids really are fine, and you can help them to be fine by being more fine yourself.
They're all scared. You've been here, you know where you're going, you know where to go.
Bishop was way bigger than Thompson. So like everyone like was like, where am I supposed to go? I don't know where the bathroom is. So just help people.
They'd probably be shy and they wouldn't want to talk to you, but you could go up to them and ask to play or sit with them at lunch. Try not to get sucked into the school or like know everyone.
Yeah.
And then like next year you'll have to, 2 years from now you have to go to like Austin or something.
We have a completion date in mid-July. This is the earliest that any school in Arlington has been finished before the opening of school. Sometimes it's just been right down to the wire.
In the spring, the site is prepared for digging and the foundation comes next. First, we dig the hole, wooden forms are built to hold the concrete, and the foundation is poured. Next, the new building is framed and the exterior walls go up, windows go in, and the majority of the work continues inside. And slowly, the frame, the walls, the windows, and the floors get transformed into a school. But of course, it wasn't until the staff, teachers, and students came back that the heart and soul of the old Thompson became the new Thompson Elementary School. In August of 2013, the school was dedicated, opened, and the public was welcomed to tour the new building. We attended the dedication and interviewed participants.
Hello, I'm Paul Werlin with Arlington Public News, and we're here to welcome you at the opening ceremonies of the brand new Thompson Elementary School here in Arlington on a beautiful Sunday afternoon. We're glad you could be here with us.
Today we are gathered to celebrate the opening of the new Thompson Elementary School, which represents the accomplishment of a long-awaited dream. Everyone in this room has shared in some way with the success of this project. As you can read in the program, the pineapple symbolizes welcome, good cheer, and warmth to all who dwell inside. It is that same warmth and affection that we shall hold for every child who passes through these doors for many years to come.
I was in here with a reporter in August, and he said, oh, this is so whimsical. And it is. And I think that appeals to a lot of young children.
Well, you came in budget and you were able to open before the school year started, which I mean is a real success story. You don't always hear about everything coming together that successfully in a timely fashion.
We planned for a couple of months for punch list. We originally were going to hopefully be substantially completed at the end of June, but weather happens. In fact, the hurricane last year had it in effect because some of the things that we were ordering, our heavy mechanical units, came from North Carolina, which had been devastated. So there's always these interconnectedness. It all came together, and it was great teamwork of everybody involved.
Brian, tell us about this school. What do you think of the new building?
It's amazing, especially compared to the old school. It is beautiful. It's big, it's bright, it's airy. It couldn't be any better.
What do you think, Jack?
It's really cool. It's, like Dad said, it's colorful. It's bigger than the last one.
It is a common tradition for new schools to dedicate the library to someone who has had a significant role in the school. The school committee and the town's Memorial Committee on Names voted to name the Thompson Library in honor of Mr. Bill Shea, who was a member of the Thompson School Building Committee and Permanent Town Building Committee, and who channeled his formidable energy and passion into making sure that our elementary and middle schools were the schools Arlington young students deserved. He believed that education, and in particular reading, made a significant difference in the lives of children. The Friends of Bill Shea raised over $82,000 to provide new books and materials for the library.
As surely as our schools aspire to prepare our children for the future, the buildings that house them offer a tip of the hat to the past. Case in point is the library at the newly rebuilt Thompson School in East Arlington, which honors the many contributions of lifelong Arlingtonian Bill Shea. What can you say about his spirit and his contribution to making this project happen?
Well, I think I'd only been on the job at Thompson a week before he called me up and came to visit.
So that was 6 years ago?
Yes.
Okay.
And he said to me, I made this promise. here are the architectural drawings from the promise a long time ago, and I'm making this promise to you. I will get this done, and I hope you'll help me.
Bill was always great to work with, always amiable, always willing to listen to a different opinion, and just a joy to be around. And Bill, congratulations not only on the Thompson School, but on getting this great library.
This is a town in which people get involved in so many ways, whether it's in their churches, or in their civic activities, or in their political activities, or in the building of a school. No one exemplified those qualities more than my dear friend Bill Shea. Bill Shea gave back because he was commanded to give back by his character, by his values, by his religious tradition, and by all the things that matter here in this town of Arlington.
Right now, the family and the Books for Bill campaign committee members set a goal for $100,000, and we just met the goal. And it's incredibly thrilling. This is something that we're hoping can be sustainable, that the fund is going to be remained open. People can contribute if they feel like they want to give to the project and give in honor of Bill, say during holiday time or for whatever reasons for his honoring his memory.
I got to talk to a couple of the children while we were waiting to come in. I said, what is it about the school that you like? And it was some of the things that you folks touched on. I love the bright colors. It's bigger, it's better. The cafeteria is nice. The playgrounds are all convenient and nice. But the thing was, every one of them who spoke to me had a big smile on their face. They were happy to be in this new building. They were happy to not be scattered into 3 other buildings. They were happy to come home to the Thompson. And we're happy to welcome them home. Let me just say that Arlington is one of our best partners. We like to partner with the community. Arlington does a great job of that. From Dr. Bodie to the principal to the building committee, you chose great consultants, your OPM architect and general construction guy, and even your delegation to the State House, Senator Donnelly and Rep. Garbely, were always involved in this. So it was a true partnership, and that's when things go right.
So one of the most important resources we have as a state, and the treasurer understands this, and so doesn't Jack and everyone else, is education. We don't have the natural resources that some other places have, but we value education. We send our children to our colleges, and we send our children into the workforce prepared to compete, both not only locally, nationally, but globally. That's the difference.
Yeah, the old school was really beautiful in sense of community and people, but the new school is just a beautiful place. The kids are comfortable, it's exciting, they're really delighted to be back, and frankly, the first day of school was like Christmas.
What didn't you like about the old building?
Well, it wasn't really very colorful.
And what do you think about this new building?
I think it's really fun.
You know, it is the most diverse community in Arlington, and it really is a place where you can sort of come as you are. There are no expectations other than that you are yourself, and everybody is accepting and open and willing to help and pitch in any way that they can. It's a really special place.
Thompson, to me, was not just a school. It was a family. It was a family that came together to make sure if there was a student that needed help with reading or math, that they got the help that they deserved, and the teachers are the ones that put that student on the road to success. But it wasn't just in the classroom where the Thompson family came together. It was outside of the classroom, in the home. If parents were struggling paying rent, the Thompson family stood up. If families were struggling to pay for heat, the Thompson families and the principal and the teachers stood up. If there were families during the holiday season that couldn't afford gifts for their young ones, it was the Thompson family that stood up. And that's the reason why there are so many people in this room today, and why I am so proud to be a part of this. So how do we judge the success of this ribbon cutting and this dedication? Well, I'll tell you how I will judge it. About a week and a half ago, we had our kindergartners start for the first time. And they came in with smiles, and they were happy to be here. They were thrilled about the futures and their teachers and meeting their classmates. The success will be judged in 20 years. And if they look back on their time here at the Thompson School, and they smile and they remember all the memories, then everything we've done as a community to this point, well, it's been worth it. And so, Superintendent Bodie, Principal Donovan, and all of you, let's create some memories.
What did you think of the old building, Grace?
Well, it was like really run down and stuff, but it also had like a lot of memories and like stuff that we knew, but it was all like run down and broken, I guess.
And what do you think about this beautiful new building?
It's very modern and it's really nice, and I wish I was still in 5th grade.
I love the gym because it has all the decorations on the floor. And I think like the kindergartners like it too.
And what about you, Brian? What do you like about this beautiful new building?
I like it that it's big, brighter, more colorful.
It really is a nice building, so do you wish you still went to school here in a way?
I really do. Every kid gets their own iPad, and well, I wish I had my own iPad.
Yeah, that's really a nice thing.
I have no doubt about this. The Thompson School will continue to serve our students well. This building provides an enhanced learning environment. The colors, these magnificent colors, will brighten the days of countless students and staff for years to come. The classrooms call out, come learn here, make many, many mistakes, and practice, 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 and succeed. Let those who enter this building breathe new life into the new Thompson so that it may fulfill its promise to all of us. Arlington is a marvelous community because of the efforts of our collective goals. The good nature of those who live here are a living, breathing part of this new building. Our town, our Commonwealth, has done much to make sure that the students here have a learning space that will help them achieve their goals.
I think my favorite part of the building, aside from the colors, aside from the very dynamic atmosphere, is the fact that it's a sustainably designed building. A program called Mass Chips, which is similar to the LEED environmental design program, is how this building was designed. So it's a Mass Chip certified building. It means it's energy efficient, it conserves water, it promotes human transportation like walking and bicycling. We're going to try to get solar panels up on the roof. So what excites me is that, again, we've designed and built a sustainable building here in Arlington.
It's specific to the community, it's specific to their needs, to the site, to the teachers and the students' wants, and so we don't ever make a school exactly the same anywhere. So what you're seeing here is something you won't see anywhere else.
I think it's very colorful, and I think the playgrounds are also really nice.
Even the masonry block you see on the outside of the building is a recycled material. So wherever possible, we use recycled materials. We used treatment inside and outside of the building to control the light. And even back to the very beginning when we designed this building and we placed the classroom wing and the orientation north and south, that is all about controlling the light that comes into the building. So as wherever possible, you don't have to use electric lights. You can let the natural light come in, but it's controlled in a way with both interior and exterior sunshades.
I especially like the gym. It's pretty big and the floor is also kind of squishy.
I think one of the most unique things programmatically about this school is what you see when you first walk in the main entrance. Because it's a neighborhood school and it's fronts on 3 streets, the students are coming from all directions, and what we wanted to do was let them come in but arrive at a safe, secure space where the adults are waiting for them. And the main lobby is like that. It has entrances on both sides, and it's all glass, and it's an open reception desk. So Vicki, the receptionist, is sitting there when anybody comes in. She can greet you, she can direct you, and it makes for a very welcoming environment, and again, very much what they had in the old Thompson School. So we wanted to replicate that.
Most people know that wonderful schools are not that way because of their building. It has nothing to do with being a wonderful school. And wonderful schools are, great schools are schools where children are challenged, where yes, there is a lot of arts going on in the school, where the building is filled with fabulous teachers. Wonderful schools are about children working very, very hard. It's about practice. It's about all kinds of things. I could go on all afternoon. It has nothing to do with the building. On the other hand, it is wonderful working every day to be the greatest school that we can be in a building like this. It is absolutely wonderful. Children come in the first few days and they were like, whoa, 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 as they went down the hallway. People are still commenting. I had a parent say to me the other day, I had several people say this, but this woman was kind of dancing around in the hallway saying, I want to go to school here. So I want to thank everyone who's ever tangentially been involved in this project. Thank you so much. It is an absolute gift to the Thompson community.
It's a beautiful building. Tell us what you particularly asked for in the design of the building that was incorporated that you're particularly pleased about.
If you go in the library, there are these steps, carpeted steps, and behind those are beautiful glass, beautiful windows, so the light is really incredible in there. And I asked for that because I used to teach in Brookline, and we had that in this old building that I was in the library there. And every week when I walked in there, it was like, oh, who thought of doing that? It's so beautiful. So I asked them to do it here. And other people offered ideas about design as well. A lot of teachers' ideas are incorporated. Another one that everyone wanted was the openness to the lobby here. Very often when you go into a school, you have to go immediately into an office to speak to someone. Everything is shut off or blocked off, and we didn't want that because our old Thompson was a very open lobby. Even the windows in my office, right along here, I had windows like that in the old Thompson, and I loved it. It was such a beautiful space, and so they recreated it here.
When I was in kindergarten and first grade, I was well aware that the Thompson School was not brand new, but I was completely unaware that the school dated back to 1950. There were such nice teachers at the old school, and I also liked pretending I was on a spaceship because different areas of the school were called wings, and spaceships have wings. But it needed a little more color now that I think of it. It just looked like your average brick building. During the demolition and construction, the Thompson kids were in a bunch of different schools. They were a little chaotic with all the kids, and we had a tiny classroom, but it was, in some ways, better than the old Thompson School. The new Thompson School looks completely different. It has garden plots and 2 new playgrounds. The new building has a lot of yellow and orange bricks that really set it apart, along with the bright yellow pineapple in front. I feel very lucky to go to this brand new school. Thank you to all the people who helped organize and build the Thompson School.
Peter, how did you get selected to be the student body representative to give the speech in front of everybody?
I was selected by default because I was the only one to submit a speech.
Well, I think you may have been selected anyway, even if you had been not the only contender, because it was a really great speech. What in particular do you like about this new building? How does it compare to the old?
Well, obviously the physical plant is much stronger than the old building. I think they ran a risk that the roof was going to cave in at one point with the old Thompson School. We don't have that concern this year. The colors are beautiful, the landscaping is wonderful, the cafeteria and the gym are especially nice.
Thank you for joining us at the opening ceremonies of the Thompson Elementary School, the brand new school to serve this part of East Arlington. I'm Paul Werlin for Arlington Public News. Thanks for watching.
So there you have it, the story of the rebuild of the Thompson Elementary School. To me, it was an amazing transformation. The Thompson School now has a building that reflects the magic and wonder that go on inside. It took a whole town, working together with the state, and in the end, we have a building that inspires us all. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed the story of the rebuild of the Thompson Elementary School.